Hello, today we will review the new DHCS 1736 web form. This form will be available on our website via a URL. Simply clicking on or navigating to this URL will open up this form and you can submit your DHCS 1736 forms as needed. To review the form, we're going to go ahead and simulate a submission using test information. Initially, we see this county information section, and the first field is a required field, noted by a red asterisk next to it. For your reference, if you do not add a value into a required field, when you try and submit, you will get an error and be prompted to fill it in. The submitting county is a drop-down. To interact with it, you can click on it, and you are welcome to scroll and find your selection. However, if you can know a portion of what you're looking for, you can type in that portion and it should search it for you to identify and quickly allow you to select the item in question. The county contact name, I will fill this in real quick with test information. I will put the phone number as well as test information, and for the email, I will enter my work email. The reason for this is that I want the correspondence that comes with this submission to go to my work email. The provider name or provider information section that includes the provider name comes next. Let's go ahead and fill this in. Test facility. Now you will also notice there is a little eye icon next to the field name. That's intended to help guide you in filling out those specific fields. The next field we see is a checkbox asking if the provider is a satellite clinic. If it is a satellite clinic, it will have a different outcome below in this provider number field. If the field is not selected above, you will see a set format, a set expected format. However, if you click this, you will see a different format. And let's go ahead and use that second format. The National Provider Identifier, also known as NPI, I will enter in some test information there. You will notice it will only accept a certain amount of characters. The provider phone, once again, I will just enter in some test information. The provider phone extension is an optional field, so enter into it as needed. The provider address, let's go ahead and enter into that. Let's enter in some test information. Colfax is the city, or I'm going to pick. State is preset to California, however you can change it. And the zip code here. Let's enter in a test zip code. Now, there are 3 acceptable formats for zip codes. There is the 5-digit, that is acceptable as we see here. There is the 5-digit space, 4-digit, that is acceptable. And finally, the 5-digit dash 4-digit, which also works. However, if you make a mistake in doing this, you will be presented with an error. For the time being, let's go stick with the 5-digit zip code. Let's enter a test information here, LE name. This is a prompt to bring up other sections. I will show that real quick. If you're doing that, you will be asked to fill out additional information. However, we'll skip that for now. Let's do the head of service name. And let's continue on to the qualifications. The qualifications here are, let's click a couple of these. It doesn't really matter how many you select. This is a multi-select. You could click one or more. However, you are expected to click at least one. And beneath that, you will see an attachment or file upload field. This is a required field. From here, you can click on select files. You can also drag and drop. I did the select files though. And you're allowed to upload files to this portion, which will then be sent to DHCS on submission. From here, we will select some of these fields at random. When you select a residential service mode, you will be prompted to enter a number of beds. There is a cap to this number. If you enter over 16, it will throw an error. If you go to mode, you can say there are no outpatient modes if needed. However, if you click under here, you will be expected to fill out some information. The additional information is another file upload, which we're already familiar with how to interact with. I will do that quickly here. Date fields here in this form, one note, as I enter into this. One note is that you will be expected to enter the leading zeros if that applies here. For example, 01 for January. It is asking you to do that, just FYI. And I will finish out the last of these three fields very quickly. Next, we are given an attestation saying I agree with this statement here. And then you will select your role to sign. Now, if you are picking this option of I cannot sign this form, you will not be signing it, and it will present you with a new field saying, the email of the signer to route that email to route the signature email to. However, if you click one of these, the local mental health director or designee signature or local entity authorized signature, you'll be presented with a signature block. Let's go ahead and fill out the name of the person completing the form. And then let's go ahead and sign it. After doing so, I will click submit. Now, if there are errors, it would take me to them. However, we won't know if there are errors until we get to this screen, and there it is. The form has been submitted successfully. After you see this screen, the process will begin for a receipt to be emailed to you. I will show an example. Here is a quick email receipt with also some additional steps that are required. The email receipt will talk about some general information, but it will also give you a quick receipt, as the receipt email name would imply, showing you what you entered. And additionally, we have these two additional parts here, Part 2 and Part 3. These are clickable web links as well. And for the Part 2 and Part 3, you can simply forward this email to the intended people needing to fill this out, and they can interact and fill out this information as needed, and that will be added to the repository of your submission that DHCS staff will review. And in the instance that there are corrections, they may send you a correction email and to fill out individual fields in the form. Keep an eye out for that. However, once all corrections have been made, you will receive a final completion email showing you any revisions that you made due to corrections and the original submission information as well. I hope this helps you navigate the 1736 process. Thank you.